Welcome back to Alpha to Omega. This episode will be a short summary of what we've talked about already in the past two videos. So let's get right into it. What it means to be human. As we talked about, being human can be defined in many different respects. If we let society dictate what being human means, well then we could say it's eating, sleeping, and working. It's our job, it's our profession, it's the roles that are projected onto us. Rather, if we think about it, and we go and distill down what it means to be human at the most essential sense, then it is to comprehend the wider world. How do we know that? Well, if you look at your childhood, that's all you did. You comprehended things around you. Not only did you comprehend things, you comprehended things with your human faculties, the ability to think and to reason and to feel. In that sense, that's what it means to be human. What is meaning? So what are we actually comprehending when we try to understand the wider world, whether it's other individuals or just simply the environment around us? It's meaning, the immaterial aspect to all things in the world. It can't be tasted, it can't be touched, it can't be smelled. In other words, it doesn't pertain to the physical senses. And yet, it is there. And how do we know it's there? Because then, how else will we operate in this world? It informs what we do, what we think, and what we feel. But where is it? It's nowhere, and it's everywhere. It's nowhere, as I just said, because it's immaterial. It doesn't have a physical place, but it's everywhere because it permeates the entirety of the cosmos. Anything that is, anything that happens to be, anything that has a form or a shape, for example, the sun, the moon, the stars, human beings, they're all meaningful in their own particular way. However, meaning is subjective in that two people can interpret things in two very different ways. For example, as I mentioned before, if it's raining outside, I may say, I don't want to get wet, whereas my friend may say, I don't really care if I get wet or not. So I may take an umbrella and my friend may not. In other words, we both perceive that the water falling down from the sky means something to each of us. What we do with it, though, is our subjective perception of the world. Does that mean we're projecting meaning onto the wider world? Well, no, because if there wasn't rain, then my friend or I wouldn't be talking about wanting to get wet or not caring at all. There is a distinction between something being meaningful, how we perceive it, and then what we do with it. The universe as a book. So what are we really saying then? If everything is meaningful around us, and meaning is inherently tied to the physical world, because we really can't talk about meaning unless it pertains to something physical, then if we draw an analogy, the world is like a book. In a book, if I open it up, I see letters on a page. There's ink, arranged in a certain structure that conveys meaning to me from the author. Letters take the form of words, words take the form of sentences, sentences the form of paragraphs, and paragraphs the form of chapters, and the chapters into an entire story. Likewise, the universe around us can be thought of as constituting letters arranged in words, arranged in sentences, paragraphs, chapters, and a book. Just think about it. What is the world really made up of? Anything physical really is just particles at the end of the day. And if we draw a similarity between particles and letters, those particles are arranged in innumerable shapes, forms, structures to make things that we interact with in our daily life. As I mentioned, the sun can be thought of as a word. The particles that make up the sun give shape to it as the sun. Likewise the moon, likewise the stars, likewise the mountains and the trees and the rivers and the oceans, and yes, even you and I, human beings. In that sense, we can think of the world, the universe, space as the page, and upon that page are all the letters, words, sentences, paragraphs, chapters of the universe. And every moment is a story unfolding itself. So then what are we really doing as human beings? We're reading the universe, whether we're aware of it or not. Purpose. As we can see, man's purpose then is to comprehend and understand the wider world. And I don't mean it mechanistically in the sense of trying to write out an equation or trying to comprehend how particles operate. Rather, trying to understand the inexhaustible nature of the world, of the universe. What does it actually mean, and what relevance does it have in my life? Not only to try to understand that inexhaustible nature, but to understand it in a sense in which I don't restrict my inexhaustible ability to think and to feel. As I mentioned earlier, we can't let ourselves be reduced to simply eating, sleeping, and working. And while those things may be vital, they are a very limited aspect to what makes a human being a human being. And how do we know that? Because we can think and feel in innumerable and inexhaustible ways. And interestingly enough, the universe also happens to be quite inexhaustible in what it means. So what? So why are we reading? What relevance does it have in our life? Is it simply for our own personal entertainment? Or does it mean something beyond what's apparent? Really, the question can be asked, what does it even mean to me? We're going to be exploring that question in the upcoming video. But before then, think about it. And I'll see you guys next time.